I never thought I would be the guy writing one of these. You always read them and think, there is no way people are this delusional. But here I am, sitting in my car, parked 2 blocks away from the house I built with my own 2 hands, shaking so hard I can barely type this on my phone. I feel like I'm gonna throw up. Let me give you the background so you understand the insanity I am currently dealing with. I am a 30-year-old male. I have a wife, Sarah, F29, and we have a 2-year-old daughter. I have worked my ass off since I was 16. I paid for my own college, I have a stable career in logistics, and 5 years ago, Sarah and I bought a fixer-upper. And when I say fixer-upper, I don't mean it needed a coat of paint. I mean it had raccoon skeletons in the attic and mold in the basement. Every weekend for 3 years, while my friends were out drinking or traveling, I was on my hands and knees sanding original hardwoods until my fingers bled. I rewired the electricity. I learned how to plumb. That house is my sweat, my blood, and my sanity. It is the only legacy I have from my daughter. Then there is my brother. Let's call him Kyle, M28. Kyle is the golden child, the miracle baby, the one who could do no wrong. While I was grounded for getting a B+ in math, Kyle was taken out for ice cream after getting suspended for smoking weed behind the bleachers because he's just so misunderstood and creative. Kyle has never held a job for longer than 6 months. He is currently finding himself while living in my parents' basement, playing video games until 4 a.m. and eating them out of house and home. 3 months ago, my father passed away. It was a massive heart attack. Sudden. It destroyed me. My dad was complicated. He was an enabler to my mother's narcissism, but he was also the only person who ever quietly told me he was proud of me. He was the buffer. With him gone, the buffer is gone. Now, to the incident. 2 days ago, my mother called me. She used her fragile, grieving widow voice. "OP, honey, please come over for dinner tonight. I can't be alone right now, and we need to discuss the estate. Kaya will be there." I felt guilty. I've been low contact for a while, but she's grieving, so I told Sarah I'd go alone. I didn't want to subject her to the drama. God, I should have brought a witness. I arrived at my childhood home. The house was stiflingly hot. Mom refuses to turn on the AC to save money, despite sitting on a hefty retirement fund. Kyle was already at the table, wearing pajamas at 6 p.m. He didn't even look up from his phone when I walked in. We sat down to eat. Meatloaf. Dry. The silence was deafening. I could hear the clock ticking on the wall. Tick, tick, tick. Finally, Mom puts down her fork. She dabs her mouth with a napkin, looks at me with these watery, big eyes, and says, "OP, your father left things in a bit of a mess. We have to make some hard decisions to make sure the family is taken care of." I nodded. "Okay, Mom, I know Dad had the life insurance policy. Is there an issue with the payout?" Then she hesitated. She looked at Kyle, who finally put his phone down and smirked. That little smirk that used to make me want to put my fist through a wall when we were teenagers. "The life insurance is fine," she said, "but it's not enough. Kyle needs a start in life. He has a business opportunity. A really big one. Cryptocurrency." I literally audibly groaned at the table. "Mom, no. Kyle does not need money for crypto. He needs a job." "Don't you speak about your brother that way," she snapped. The fragile widow mask slipped for a second. "He has a vision, but that's not why you're here." She reached under the table and pulled out a manila folder. She slid it across the table to me. "Do you remember when you bought your house 5 years ago and we gave you $50,000 for the down payment?" "Yes," I said slowly. "The gift, the wedding gift you guys gave us early so we could secure the loan." "Well, actually, honey, that wasn't a gift. It was an investment. And with your father gone, the estate is calling in that debt, with interest." Shocked silence. I stared at her. My ears started ringing. "What? Mom, I signed a gift letter. The bank required it. You signed it. Dad signed it. It explicitly said no repayment is expected or implied. That is a federal document." Kyle chimed in, his mouth full of food. "Dad kept records, bro. You owe the estate, and since I'm the executor along with Mom—" "You are not the executor," I shouted.
I am, Mom interrupted calmly. And Kyle is helping me manage things. We did the math. With 5 years of interest at, let's say, market rates, plus the appreciation of the property value since our money made it possible, we figure you owe the estate about $150,000. $150,000! Or, Mom said, waving her hand dismissively, you can simply sign the deed over to the estate. We'll let you and Sarah rent it back from us at a discount, but we need to leverage the equity to get Kyle his seed money. It's what your father would have wanted. He always wanted the family to be equal. I stood up. My chair scraped loudly against the floor. You are insane. I have the gift letter in my safe. I'm not giving you a dime, and I am sure as hell not signing over my house. Mom's face went cold, stone cold. She reached into the folder and pulled out a piece of paper, a photocopy. Look at this, OP. I looked. It was a promissory note, dated 5 years ago. It had my signature on it. It detailed a repayment plan starting upon the death of either parent. I felt the blood drain from my face. I never signed this. This is my signature, but I never signed this document. You lifted this from somewhere else. It's notarized, Kyle laughed. Check the stamp. I looked closer. There was a notary stamp, from a notary I used to use at my old job, a guy who was fired for fraud 3 years ago. This is a forgery, I whispered. You forged this. How dare you? Your father kept this in his private safe. Are you accusing your dead father of fraud? He was worried you'd abandon us once you got successful. He wanted to protect Kyle. If you don't honor this, OP, we will sue you. We will put a lien on that house. Sarah and the baby will be on the street. I grabbed the photocopy. I'm leaving. If you walk out that door, Mom screamed at my back, you are out of the will. You get nothing. The vintage car, the bonds, nothing. Keep it, I yelled back. I don't want his money if it comes with you. I stormed out. I drove 2 blocks and parked here. I've been sitting here for an hour. I just called Sarah. She's panicking. She's looking for the original closing documents. But here is the thing that is making my stomach turn into ice. I remember that notary. I remember Dad asking me to sign a bunch of insurance riders regarding the car a few weeks after we bought the house. I signed a stack of papers without reading them thoroughly because I trusted him. He was my dad. Did he trick me? Or did they Photoshop my signature onto a new document? And here is the kicker, the part that makes me want to drive into a tree. I just got a text from my aunt, Mom's sister. It says, I heard you made your mother cry tonight over money after everything she's done for you. Kyle told us you're trying to steal his share of the inheritance. Fix this, or the whole family is cutting you off. They are already spinning the narrative. They are launching a smear campaign before I've even processed what happened. I'm going home now to tear my office apart. I need to find every piece of paper my father ever gave me. If they want a war, they're going to get one. But I'm terrified. What if that document holds up in court? Can they really take my house? Wait a second. I just remembered something. When Dad died, I took a box of his old journals from the hospital room. Mom didn't want them. She said they were clutter. I threw them in my trunk and forgot about them. They're still in the back of my car right now. Dad wrote down everything, every cent he spent, every conversation he had. If there was a secret loan, it would be in there. But if there wasn't, I'm going to go through these journals tonight. I have a feeling I'm going to find out exactly who my father really was. I will update when I know if I'm about to be homeless or if I'm about to send my mother to prison. Time passed since last post. 48 hours. I have not slept in 2 days. I am currently running on black coffee and adrenaline. Sarah is a mess. Every time her phone buzzes, she jumps. She's terrified we're going to lose the house. I had to take the day off work because I couldn't focus on spreadsheets when my own mother is trying to evict her granddaughter. Thank you to everyone in the comments who told me to get a lawyer immediately. I did.
But before I get to the legal part, I need to tell you about the journals. The box was heavy. It smelled like him. Old Spice, sawdust, and peppermint gum.
I brought the box into the kitchen at 2 a.m. the night I wrote the first post. Sarah sat across from me, her hands wrapped around a mug of tea, watching me like I was defusing a bomb. There were 15 journals. My dad was meticulous. He was an engineer, so he cataloged his life like a project. Dates, times, weather, expenses. I frantically searched for the journal covering the year we bought the house, 5 years ago. Flip, flip, flip. I found the date on the promissory note Mom showed me, August 14th, 2019. I opened Dad's journal to August 14th, 2019. My hands were shaking so bad I almost ripped the page. Here is exactly what the entry said. I am transcribing it word for word. August 14, 82 degrees, overcast. Kyle is in trouble again. Another payday loan. Mary, Mom, is hysterical. She wants to liquidate the bonds to pay it off. I told her no. We fought for 3 hours. She threw a plate. I retreated to the garage. OP came over later to help me move the old freezer. Good kid. I asked him to sign the updated beneficiary forms for the 401k since I'm removing Mary as the primary if she refuses to seek therapy. He signed them on the workbench, didn't even read them, trusting. I worry about him. Mary was watching from the window. He didn't have me sign a loan. He had me sign a beneficiary form. I looked at Sarah. He was protecting me. He was changing his will 5 years ago because Mom was spiraling. But then I found something darker. I kept reading forward. 2 weeks later, September 2, Mary found the beneficiary forms in my desk. She went nuclear, threatened divorce. She shredded them in front of me. I don't have the energy to fight her anymore. I'm just so tired. She kept the signature page, though. Said she wanted a keepsake. I don't like the look in her eye. Note to self, check the lock on the safe. She kept the signature page. She literally stole the page I signed for my own inheritance protection, and she, or Kyle, photocopied it onto a fake promissory note. I felt a mix of vindication and pure, unadulterated rage. My dad wasn't the villain. He was a battered husband who was too weak to leave her. But a journal entry isn't hard proof in court, right? It's hearsay. That's what I thought. So, yesterday morning, I went to a lawyer. Let's call him Mr. Shark. Mr. Shark is expensive. He costs more per hour than I'm making a week. I laid everything out on his mahogany desk. The photocopy Mom gave me, the picture of the journal entry I took, and the original gift letter from the bank closing. Mr. Shark looked at the promissory note for about 10 seconds. He didn't even use a magnifying glass. He just started laughing. OP, look at the date of the notary stamp. I looked. The stamp says commission expires December 2021. Okay, I said. The commission was valid. Yes, Mr. Shark said, leaning back. But look at the style of the stamp. In our state, the notary laws changed in January 2020. They required a new border design on all stamps issued or renewed. This stamp has the new border design. Wait, I said. You mean... I mean, Mr. Shark grinned. This stamp physically didn't exist in 2019, even if the commission dates line up. The physical rubber stamp wasn't manufactured until 2020. This document was created retroactively. It's a clumsy forgery. And since they used a notary who was disbarred for fraud, oh, this is gonna be fun. I almost cried. I literally put my head in my hands and sobbed in his office. But we aren't out of the woods yet. Mr. Shark told me that even with the forgery, they can still tie up the title of my house in litigation for years if they file a lis pendens, a pending lawsuit notice. It would ruin my credit and prevent me from refinancing or selling. He gave me a specific instruction. Do not tell them you know it's a fake yet.
Let them dig the hole deeper. We need them to commit to the lie on record. So I had to play dumb. And that brings us to the flying monkeys. My phone has been blowing up. My aunt, Mom's sister, sent me 14 texts in a row. Text 1, your mother is in the hospital. Her blood pressure is through the roof because of you. Text 2, how can you be so greedy? Kyle says you have plenty of money. Text 3, give them the house, OP. It's just a building. Family is forever. I ignored them, but then Kyle texted me. Yo, bro, Mom's creating the lien paperwork with her lawyer tomorrow. Last chance. Sign the deed over by noon or we nuke your life. Also, don't bother looking for Dad's journals. Mom says she burned the rest of them years ago, so whatever you think you have is fake.
He just admitted they knew about the journals. He just handed me a golden nugget of evidence that they are suppressing information. I replied, as instructed by Mr. Shark, I'm confused, Kyle. I don't have the money. Can we meet? I need to see the original document again before I sign anything. I can't sign based on a photocopy. Kyle replied instantly, Fine, Mom's house, tomorrow 10 a.m. Bring the deed. So tomorrow morning, I am walking back into the lion's den, but this time I'm not going alone. I'm bringing a hidden recording device, legal in my state thanks one-party consent laws, and I'm bringing a copy of the deed, inside a folder that also contains a draft of a police report for uttering a forged instrument and extortion. I'm going to give them one chance to back down. Just one. But honestly, after reading about how they treated my dad, how they crushed him until he was just a ghost in his own house, I don't think I want peace. I want justice. I'm terrified they might physically lash out. Kyle has a temper. Sarah is taking the baby to her parents' house for the day, just in case. I will update after the confrontation. If I don't post in 24 hours, assume I'm in jail or the hospital. Time passed since last update. 2 weeks. I am writing this from a hotel room. Sarah and the baby are safe at her parents' place, but I couldn't stay there. I needed to be alone. I needed to process the fact that the woman who gave birth to me looked me in the eye and tried to send me to prison to protect her golden child. Hard tone. Kyle is currently in county lockup. My mother is facing felony charges. The nuclear bomb has officially gone off. Let me back up. I know you guys want the play-by-play. Buckle up, because it was worse than I imagined. The morning of the meeting, I taped a digital recorder to my chest, under my shirt. I felt like I was in a bad spy movie. My heart was hammering so hard, I thought the microphone would just pick up dum, dum, dunk. I pulled into the driveway. Mom's curtains moved. She was watching. I walked in. The atmosphere was different this time. It wasn't sad, it was predatory. Mom was dressed up, makeup, jewelry, like she was going to church. Kyle was wearing a suit that was 2 sizes too big for him. It looked ridiculous. OP, so glad you came to your senses. Coffee? No thanks, I said, keeping my hands in my pockets. Let's get this over with. We sat at the same table. The original document was sitting there. Here it is, Kyle said, tapping the paper. The promissory note. Just sign the deed transfer and we tear this up. We forgive the debt. I leaned in. I pretended to inspect it. It was the same document as the photocopy, just on heavier paper. The signature looked wrong. It looked traced. Mom, I need you to tell me the truth. Did Dad really make me sign this, or did you guys make a mistake? How dare you! Your father was a saint. He wanted to ensure fairness. So you are confirming, I said clearly for the hidden mic, that this document was signed by me in 2019 in front of this notary and you witnessed it. Yes, she snapped. I was there. Kyle was there. Stop stalling. Kyle smirked. I remember it clearly, bro. You were crying about being broke.
That was the nail in the coffin. I sat back. I felt a strange calm wash over me, the calm of knowing I held the ace. "Okay," I said, "I'm not signing the deed." "Then we sue!" Kyle slammed his hand on the table. "We take the house." "I can't," I said softly, "because that notary stamp didn't exist in 2019. Silence. The room went dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. Mom's face twitched. "What?" "The border design," I explained, pointing to the stamp. "State law changed in January 2020. This stamp was manufactured after Dad died. You forged it, and I have Dad's journals proving he never loaned me the money. He was actually trying to protect his assets from you." Explosion of noise. Mom screamed. It wasn't a human sound. It was a banshee shriek. "You liar! You ungrateful brat!" She swept the coffee mugs off the table. They shattered everywhere. Kyle stood up. His face was purple. "Give me that!" He lunged for the document. I grabbed it first. That was my mistake. Fast pace, frantic narration. Kyle didn't go for the paper. He went for me. He tackled me out of the chair. We hit the floor hard. I felt his fist connect with my jaw. Crack! "Give it to me! I'll kill you!" he was screaming. I curled up, trying to protect the recorder and the paper. "Kyle, stop! You're going to jail!" Mom was standing over us, screaming, but not at Kyle. She was screaming at me. "Stop hurting your brother! OP, let him have it! You're hurting him! Help! Police!"
She was literally calling for help while her 28-year-old son was punching me in the ribs. I managed to shove Kyle off me. I'm a blue-collar guy. I lift heavy boxes for a living. Kyle plays Xbox. I shoved him hard, and he flew back into the china cabinet. Glass rained down on him. I scrambled up, gasping for air. "I'm calling the cops." "I already did," Mom yelled, holding her phone. "I told them you're assaulting us." She thought that was a power move. She had no idea. I ran out the front door and waited by my car. My lip was split, bleeding down my chin. My ribs were on fire. The police arrived in 3 minutes. 2 cruisers. Mom ran out on the porch, putting on the Oscar performance of a lifetime. Tears, shaking hands, the whole frail old lady routine. "Officer, thank God! My son, he's on drugs or something. He came here demanding money and attacked his younger brother. Look at the house. He destroyed everything." The officer, a big guy who looked like he had zero patience for nonsense, looked at me. I was leaning against my car, wiping blood off my face. "Sir, put your hands where I can see them," the officer said. I complied. "Officer, I was invited here. I was assaulted. I have a recording of the entire encounter on my chest." Mom's crying stopped instantly. It was like someone hit a mute button. "A recording?" she whispered. The officer raised an eyebrow. "Is that true?" "Yes, sir. And," I pointed to the passenger seat of my car where I had tossed the folder, "I have evidence of felony forgery and extortion that my lawyer prepared for me to hand to you." They separated us. They listened to the audio. It took about 10 minutes. I sat on the curb while the EMT checked my jaw. Then I watched the officer walk back to the porch. He spoke to Mom. She started pointing at Kyle. She turned on him instantly. I could hear her from the driveway. "I didn't know. Kyle told me it was real. He made me say that. I'm an old woman. I didn't know." Kyle looked at her, betrayed. "You literally bought the stamp online, Mom." "Keep your mouth shut," she hissed. The officer had heard enough. He cuffed Kyle. Kyle started struggling. "You can't arrest me. It's a civil matter. My brother is lying." They put him in the back of the cruiser. Then the second officer walked up to Mom. "Ma'am, you're going to need to come with us too. We have you on tape conspiring to commit fraud." Seeing her being led away, I should have felt happy. I should have felt relieved, but I just felt sick. I gave my statement. I handed over the original forgery, the journals, and the audio file. Mr. Shark met me at the station an hour later. He was practically skipping. He said the DA is going to have a field day. The fallout. This was 3 weeks ago. Kyle is in jail. He was denied bail because he has a prior record I didn't know about, shoplifting and assault from 2 years ago. Mom covered it up. He's facing charges for assault, battery, forgery, and attempted grand larceny. Mom bailed out. She is currently staying with my aunt, the Flying Monkeys. Speaking of the Flying Monkeys, my phone has become a toxic wasteland. My aunt, my cousins, even some random friends of the family have been blowing up my social media. They are spinning the narrative that I beat up my elderly mother and framed my autistic brother. Kyle is not autistic, by the way, but suddenly that's the defense. You are dead to us. How could you put your mother in a cell? She fed you. She clothed you. Drop the charges or we will release photos of you doing drugs in college. I smoked weed twice in college. Go ahead, release the photos, Aunt Karen. Nobody cares. Mr. Shark has sent cease and desist letters to everyone. He is also filing for a permanent restraining order for me, Sarah, and our daughter. But here is the twist I didn't see coming. Mr. Shark ordered a forensic audit of the estate. Since Mom tried to defraud me, the court froze the assets. We got the preliminary results yesterday. There is no money. The retirement fund? Gone. The life insurance payout from Dad? Gone. The equity in their house? Mortgaged to the hilt. Mom and Kyle have blown through nearly $600,000 in the last 3 years while Dad was sick. Gambling sites, crypto scams, luxury vacations I didn't know about. Dad didn't just die of a heart attack. The stress probably killed him. He was trying to keep the ship afloat while they were drilling holes in the hull. The loan they claimed I owed? They were desperate. They needed my house because they are about to lose theirs. I am not just fighting for my home anymore. I'm watching the entire history of my family disintegrate. My inheritance is zero. My parents' legacy is debt in crime. I have to go back to the police station tomorrow to identify more documents. Apparently, they forged Dad's signature on a second Morgan's last year. I will update one last time when the court cases are settled. I don't know if I'll ever speak to my mother again. Sarah says we should move states. I'm starting to agree with her. Time passed since last update. 13 months. It is finally over. I am writing this from my back porch. The sun is setting over the mountains. Real mountains, not the flat suburbs where I grew up. Sarah is inside, making dinner. My daughter is chasing fireflies in the yard. The silence here is different. It's not the silence of tension or secrets. It's the silence of peace. A lot has happened in the last year and a half. I know I left you guys on a cliffhanger, but my lawyer, Mr. Shark, who was worth every single penny, by the way, advised me to go complete radio silent until the sentencing hearings were concluded. So here is the autopsy of my family. The criminal trial. The state decided to prosecute. It wasn't just a family dispute anymore. Once the forensic accountants finished tearing through my parents' finances, they found a web of fraud that went back 4 years. They found that my mother had been forging Dad's signature on credit card applications while he was in the ICU. They found that Kyle had liquidated Dad's 401k by pretending to be him on the phone with the brokerage firm. The trial was a circus. Mom showed up to court in a wheelchair. She didn't need one. She bought it on Amazon 2 days before the hearing. She wore no makeup, greased her hair back to look older, and carried a rosary. It was pathetic. Kyle, on the other hand, tried to throw Mom under the bus. His public defender argued that he was manipulated by a grieving, mentally unstable widow. Mom's lawyer argued that she was a confused elderly woman who didn't understand technology and that Kyle, the crypto bro, had masterminded the theft. Watching them tear each other apart on the stand was, honestly, it was the most validating experience of my life. They ate each other alive. But the evidence was bulletproof. The prosecutor played the audio recording I took at the dining room table, the
the one where Mom screams, "I didn't know! Kyle told me it was real," followed immediately by Kyle yelling, "You bought the stamp online!" The jury deliberated for 3 hours. The sentences: Kyle, guilty on 2 counts of forgery, 1 count of grand larceny, and assault. Because of his prior record, the one Mom hid, and the amount of money stolen, $600K plus from the estate, plus the attempt to steal my house, the judge didn't go easy. He was sentenced to 4 years in state prison, followed by 5 years of probation. I saw him being led away in cuffs. He looked at me. He didn't look angry anymore. He just looked scared. He looked like a kid who realized for the first time in his life that nobody was coming to bail him out. Mom. She took a plea deal at the last second to avoid a longer sentence. She pled guilty to fraud and uttering a forged instrument. She received 5 years of probation and 13 months of house arrest. But here is the kicker. The house for her house arrest didn't exist anymore. The financial ruin. The bank foreclosed on my childhood home 3 months ago. The second mortgage they took out fraudulently was in default. The IRS also came knocking for back taxes on the income Kyle made and lost in crypto. Mom was evicted. She lost everything. The furniture, the jewelry, the vintage car she threatened to write me out of, all seized to pay restitution. And guess who came crawling out of the woodwork? My aunt, the chief flying monkey. About 6 months ago, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. "OP, it's Aunt Karen." I didn't say anything. I just hit the record button on my phone. Mimicking Aunt, frantic and annoyed. "Listen, your mother is being evicted next week. She has nowhere to go for her house arrest. I can't take her. I have your cousin's wedding to plan. You have that big house. You need to take her in. The judge says if she has a verified address, she avoids jail. She's your mother, OP. She's sorry. She's learned her lesson." I let the silence hang there for a solid 10 seconds.
"Aunt Karen," I said, my voice deadpan, "you told me I was dead to you. You told me I was greedy. You told me to drop the charges." "We were upset," she cried. "Families fight, but you can't let her go to a homeless shelter." "Actually," I said, "I can. I sold my house, I moved, and none of you will ever know where I live. If she needs a place to stay, maybe she should have thought about that before she tried to make my wife and daughter homeless." I hung up. I blocked the number. From what I heard through a distant cousin, who is the only sane one left, Mom is currently living in a 1-bedroom apartment in a bad part of town, paid for by the state. She spends her days posting on Facebook about how her ungrateful son abandoned her. I haven't read a single post. Where I am now. Sarah and I made a decision. The house I built, the one I sanded the floors of until my fingers bled, it was tainted. Every time I looked at the dining room, I saw Kyle punching me. Every time I looked at the driveway, I saw the police cars. So we sold it. The market was hot. We made a killing on the equity Mom tried to steal. We took that money and moved 3 states away. We bought a plot of land with a small cabin on it. I'm building a new house now, but this time I'm not doing it to prove I'm worthy. I'm doing it for us. I'm in therapy, weekly. It's helping. I'm unlearning 30 years of conditioning that told me I was only valuable if I was useful. There is one last thing. Before the bank seized my parents' house, I was allowed in one last time by the executor to retrieve personal items. I went into the garage. Dad's workbench was still there, covered in dust. I found an old coffee can full of screws. And inside that can, buried at the bottom, was a folded piece of graph paper. It was a note from Dad, undated. "OP, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry I wasn't stronger. I'm sorry I let them make you feel small. You are the best thing I ever built. Don't let them take your joy. Run." I framed that piece of graph paper. It hangs in my new hallway.
I am no contact with my mother. I am no contact with my brother. I am no contact with my extended family. I have Sarah, I have my daughter, and for the first time in my life, I have the truth. They didn't break me. They just broke themselves trying to break me. Thanks for listening, Reddit. I won't be updating again. I have a deck to build.